In this video, I'm going to show you how to pick up, carry, and then toss NPCs. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. There's Merle. Zombies are running at Merle. What are we going to do? We're going to pick up Merle, and we're going to run. I made a little animation. We'll do that today, too. And then let's toss him. Toss Merle. Oh, Merle, you didn't go very far. Try it again. Boom. Oh, no, we could do that with zombies, too. I thought this would be pretty cool. Let's pick up a zombie and throw him. If I wasn't such a boomer. There we go, got a zombie. Brah. Let's go ahead and get started with that. First thing we're going to do is get an NPC to work with. So go to Avatar tab right here. I clicked it. I'm going to go to Rig Builder, and you can do this with R15 or R6, doesn't matter. I'm going to get this Mesh Avatar 2016 and just move it out into my world. Let's open up our rig. I'm going to go down to the humanoid root part, and I'm going to add an attachment. And I'm going to use the attachment for when I use the collection service that I can put it on different NPCs. So it's more for organization than anything else. I'm going to call that attachment Carry ATT. On the attachment, I'm going to hit the plus. I'm going to add a proximity prompt. And let's call this, how about carry prompt? Carry prompt. I want to change one thing on my proximity prompt. Everything else I'm going to do with code. I want to change requires line of sight. You probably can't see that. You see this SI, but look for requires line of sight, uncheck it. And also on my carry attachment, let's click a plus sign and let's add a script, a server script. And I might call this, how about carry SVR, because we're going to have the server script and we're going to have a client script for the animation when he puts his hands up and he's carrying the person or the NPC. I'm going to delete this print statement right here. I'm going to make a few variables. I'm going to need my script. I'm going to say local ATT for the attachment that's the parent of our script. So script.parent. What else? How about the prompt itself, the proximity prompt? ATT, wait for child, carry prompt. And then I also want an offset so I can move the prompt around when I pick up my NPC so we can see it better. So I'm going to do a variable called p offset, and that's going to be prompt.UI offset. Now I'm going to make a constant for how high I want to carry my character. That way I can adjust it while I'm working on it real easy. I don't have to dig through the code. So I'm just going to call it height. Let's say 2.5 studs up. I played around with that. That's a pretty good height, but you can also change it. I'm also going to create a variable for the horizontal rotation of the NPC while we're carrying them. So I'm going to call that rotation. Oh my goodness, rotation. And that's just going to be math.rad 90 degrees. That's what it was in the demo. We'll do two more constants that we can adjust while we're working on our game, ironing things out. How about a push strength, right? And I had it at 70 in the demo, but you can play around with that number just right here without digging through the code, make the NPC go farther or not as far, right? And then there's also going to be an upward pushing force, right? So I'm going to say push up with that. I'll just make it a 1. Let's get a few helper functions. Let's say a local function get HRP. How about make those lower? We're going to pass in a model or a character. I'll just call it model. And then if the model exists, then we're going to return, how about model, find first child that is a humanoid root part, right? Humanoid root part. That way, if we don't find it, it's going to return nil. And if the model is nil, we're going to return nil. Let's get another helper function. I'm going to move the code a little bit so we have some more room. And this is going to be for the collisions of the body parts. We're going to run into trouble with that. I found that out through trial and error. So I'm going to call this set collisions. And it's going to be the model or the character, right? And then whether we want to turn the collisions on or off. So I'm going to call that can collide, right? And we're just going to do a for loop, right? We'll say for, how How about we do that underscore because we're not going to use the counter. So we'll say for underscore and part in iPairs. We'll get the model and we'll get all the descendants, right? So we have model, get, oh, and I always mess up descendants too. You got to be very careful so we don't get an error. Get descendants, do. And then if part is a base part, then part dot can collide equals this can collide right here. So we're either going to make can collide off on all the parts or we're going to turn it on all the parts when we go to throw them. Let's scroll down a little bit or move the code up a little bit, and I'm going to get the prompt and I'm going to react to the trigger. So I'm going to get this triggered event and then I'll say connect. How about function player, the player that triggered the prompt. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the target model, right? So I'll say target model or target character in our case. We'll say prompt. How about find first ancestor of class model? So we don't want to go up one level because it's going to be the attachment, and we want to keep going up until we find a model, and that's going to be hopefully our character. But let's go ahead and check. If not TGT model, then return, right? Something went wrong. Now let's also do a TGT hum. We get down here, we know the model exists, so let's check to see if the humanoid exists in the model. Then we'll know it's a character, right? So we'll say TGT model, do a find first child, and then we'll say humanoid. Let's look for the humanoid. Let's also get the humanoid root part of the target. So we'll say local TGT-HRP, and here we have a helper function, right? We have our get HRP. Probably should have done that for the humanoid too. We'll just pass in the TGT model. We still should check to make sure everything worked all right. If not, we're going to exit. So we're going to say if not TGT hum, that one right there, and TGT HRP, then we're going to return, right? So we'll say then return, right? Doing a lot of checks. A lot of things can go wrong. What else should we do? Let's go down a little bit more, and I want to get the character of the player that hit the prompt. So I'm going to say player.character. Now I'm not going to do the character added weight because if we don't have that character, we are going to bail. So to get the character's HRP, I'm just going to call this HRP. We're going to use our helper function, get HRP, and there we check to see if the character's there. So we'll just pass the character in for that one. Now, let's do another check. Let's do it here. If not char and HRP, then bail, right? Then return. Move the code a little bit. Now we're going to do two checks. We're going to make sure, we're going to check to see if the target is being carried. So are we picking them up or are we throwing them? And we also have to check to see if our player actually has somebody or doesn't have somebody, or else we're going to get funny results. So I'm going to start out with this is carried for the target. We're going to say, hey, is the target model, do we have this attribute? I'm going to set that if they're being carried, right? But if they're not being carried, this is either going to be not here or false. So is carried, is our target model carried? And we could start our if statement out with just that information. If is carried, then. And what else are we going to do? We could do an else. It's not carried, right? So is carried will be, we're going to drop them. And then the else will be pick them up, pick up NPC. But here's the funny thing. When can we not pick them up? When we're carrying somebody already. So let's do an else if not player get attribute. And then that one, how about we say is carrying. Then let's go ahead and work on our pickup NPC first because it's going to be easier to test. So I'm going to scroll the code a little bit, give us some more room. Cool. right here, I'm going to do tgt hum.platform stand, and it doesn't give you a very good description. Not the event, but that little blue box there. Set that to true, and we're supposed to do that if we're going to move around a character so it doesn't compete with like the animations and stuff like that. I don't think it works very well, but I always set it because they say to set it. So let's get our set collisions now, and we'll do TGT model false. So it's going to take all the base parts in our model, make can collide false. It's going to be easier to pick up. Let's do a note for fire client to start animations. We don't have an animation yet. We're just going to do a real simple one anyway. Now for here, let's do an offset. And this is going to be where we're going to move our NPC to. So let's do the offset with C-frame new, 0 on the X. We have that height up at the top. That's 2.5 studs. So we're going to move them up 2.5 studs and 0 on the Z. We are also going to get the C-frame angles. Do I got it? Yeah, angle. Oh, I missed it. Angles. And then on the X, we're going to have to rotate the X axis to get him so that he's above our head. I just played around with it. So I tried a couple of different angles, and I think this one's the best. So on the X, I'm doing the H rotation, which is defined above, and then a 0 and a 0 for the Y and the Z. I'm going to click right here, hit enter, so we can put this on 2 lines, so it's a little easier to read on the video, on the YouTube screen, right? All right, now we have that offset. We'll get our target, not the model, target HRP's C-frame, and we're going to get our player's character's C-frame, multiply that by the offset. So we're going to put the offset, it's going to put the NPC right above our character, right? That's pretty cool. That's our character's HRP. Now let's weld them in place. So we'll say local weld equals instance new, and we're going to do a weld constraint, the newer weld constraint, right? And we could parent it to TGTHRP, and let's make the weld so we can find it, right? So give it a name that we can find. How about carry weld? It's going to be a little bit easier to remove it when we go to throw them. And then we'll do weld. We get this part 0. Let's make that the player's humanoid root part. And we'll get the weld part 1. We'll make that the TGT humanoid root part. The parent is assigned up here, so we don't have to give it an explicit parent down here. And let's try it out. Let's go ahead and hit play. And we'll go to view output. Come over here. Boom. And he is above his head, but we can't see because the stupid button's in the way. And we can't release them because we didn't do that part of the code yet. But that's pretty good. We don't have any errors, and we can see that the rig is here. Let's move that prompt so we get a better view. I'm going to close the output window. I'm going to turn off my game. Go back to carry, the server script, carry server. Let's add our code for the prompt down here on line 58. Let's get prompt, and we got this UI offset. It's exactly what we need. It is a vector2. We'll say a vector2.new, and I am going to change that -120 and -70. I'm not going to make constants for this right now because we might need to play with it. I played with that off screen, and I think that's pretty good. Let's also, while we're here, get the target model and do a colon. We're going to set an attribute. So we're going to set the attribute is, this is the target model. So if they're being carried, we're going to say is carried is true, right? It's a little flag. And then we're also going to get, not the target model, let's get the player, right? Now the player, we have to know if they're carrying something because we don't want them carrying 2 different things. So we're also going to do a 2 different NPCs, a set attribute for them. And let's call this is carrying, and we'll set that to true, right? So the target model is being carried, and you'll have to set more attributes if you want to do like stealing and stuff like that. I have not tried that. And the player's got somebody, so they can't pick somebody else up. We're going to do that in the other part of the if statement. Oh, you know what we should also do? Get the prompt action text, and let's change that to like toss 'em, right? So we can change the text on the prompt. Let's play it. Let's play it and see if our prompt is in a little better position. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now you can move him up or back however you want, right? On the offset. Toss him doesn't do anything yet. Let's do that next. Let's go ahead and turn our game off. Go to carry server. We're going to scroll on up and we're going to start adding code here. And this is carried. Look at that. We have our get attribute right there. Now you might want to check the player attribute right here, but I think we're going to be okay. Let's just go down to where we're going to drop our NPC. First thing we should do is break that weld. So I'm going to get a variable for the weld. We have it on the TGT HRP, the target humanoid root part. We will find first child carry weld. We put it on the HRP. So we'll say carry weld. Make sure that's spelled the same as when we pick them up, right? And then if weld, just a little check to make sure the welds exist. Let's do a destroy. Destroy. All right. Oh, you know what? We should probably check the player status if we die and come back. That's for the future. Let's go ahead and continue on with what we got. So TGT Hume. Remember we had that goofy platform stand thing. We'll make that false. And then set collisions. Definitely got to make that true again. So we'll say target model true. So we can make all of our can collides on our base parts come back. Let's get a look vector for the direction we're going to throw our NPC in. So we're going to say, how about local look? I'm going to scroll up a little bit so the code's easier to see. All right. And we'll get our player's humanoid root part. We're going to get the C frame from that. And then we're going to get our look vector, right? The direction that we're looking. We'll say local, how about dir, vector 3, new. I want to get the look.x, but I don't want to use the y value for our look vector. Let's do this push up. Remember, we made that 1 up at the top, so we could kind of arc them up a little bit, not directly out in front of where we're looking. And so we'll just get the z as is too. The x and the z will stay the same. We're just going to change the y so when we go to throw them. Oh, you know what else I'd like to do? Let's go here. Let's normalize this by making it the unit vector so it's of magnitude 1. And then we can do calculations a little easier. Speaking of calculations, let's get the mass of our NPC. So we'll say target HRP, which we have. We'll do assembly mass. Assembly mass. So the humanoid root part and all of the base parts connected to it. So, you know what? We don't have our accessories calculated, but I think this is going to be pretty good. It'll give us a pretty reasonable estimation of the mass of our NPC. And then let's get our TGT HRP, and we're going to apply some force. I'm going to do the apply impulse. How's that? We'll do that one. We're going to get our direction. Oh, and let's do this. Times mass. So we're going to scale by mass. And then we have that push strength, right? It's like 70. So just increase it if you want them to go farther, and then decrease it if you don't want them to go as far. All right. Oh, and our prompt. What's going to happen when we release them? You want to try it? I bet it'll work once, but we're not setting our attributes yet. Let's try it right now. There we go. And here's our rig. Interact. Pick them up. And let's toss them. Yeah, that worked. Ooh, do we have any errors? View. Output. Nope. Looking good. Get rid of our output window and then turn this off. Go back to our carry server. Now, if you notice, the proximity prompt hung out for a split second, maybe too long, right? I think what I'm going to do is just hit enabled equals false. And then what I want to do, let's do this task delay 2 seconds function, and we'll bring it back. Here, I'm going to move the code a little bit. There we go. We'll bring it back, and that's going to let the that's going to make the proximity prompt turn off right away. Oh, and also remember our UI offset. We want it on the character before he gets picked up. So let's put it back to the original P offset that we set up in the top of the script. So we have our prompt here, and then we'll enable it again. And I think that's going to be a pretty good result. But we can't test it until we can throw them multiple times. Oh, you know what I'm going to do right here too? I think, well, we could do it here. Let's put a note for Fire Client. Fire Client to stop the carry animation. Stop carry animation. Right? And you know what else? You might need a wait. Might need a slight wait here. Right, for the animation, because we're going to do that on client side, and this is going to happen server side. So you might have to just fudge the delay a little bit. I think you'll get pretty good results, though. You want to do the animations on client side, and it gets replicated to the server. What else should we do? Oh, we're almost done this, too. Let's do TGT model, and then we're going to set the attribute is carried false, right? Because we tossed them. And then the player set attribute is carrying is also going to be false. Anything else? Oh, maybe the prompt too, right? We'll get the prompt, action text, pick up, and then we'll string concatenate. Oh, I just do the string concatenate on this side. String concatenate the target model's name. All right, I'm going to get rid of these lines of code, clean this up a little bit, delete. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Maybe we will keep that space there. A little easier to see. All right, let's try it again. Let's hit play. Now we should do multiple throws. There we go. I'm going to move this down. I do not anticipate any errors. We'll pick them up, and we'll toss them. Nice. See if we can pick them up again. Pick up. Now it says pick up rig, right? Because we changed the text. We will change that action text when we put the prompt on all of the characters with the tag and collection service. Yeah, oh, that was a lame throw. Pick up rig. Boom. We can put that force on there. That's that platform standing, right? I'm convinced that it's not really what it says it is. Yeah, it's looking good. Boom. All right, now we got to get a little animation for his hands. So it looks like he's actually carrying them. Let's turn this off. Yeah, we'll go ahead and close out the output window. Let's go to the avatar tab, and we can do get animation editor. We are going to put the animation on this guy right here. Right? Grab an arm. Bring that up. Bring it all the way up. Grab an arm. Bring it all the way up. Now, the funny thing about this is we are going to be competing with the walk and run animation. So we need to get keyframes on everything so that if you leave a keyframe off, the walk will use that. We'll use that opportunity to sneak in there. So let's get keyframes, even if you don't move it, right? Like even if you like the hand there, just move it up and back, right? I think I'm going to move it this way a little bit. But get a keyframe on everything, right? And then upper torso, let's do that. Pop that forward a little bit. Maybe his head too. Grab the head, right? Even if you don't want to move it, just put a keyframe on it. And then go down to lower torso so we don't bump up and down. We're going to walk real smooth because remember, we've got somebody on our head. We can't look like we're going through them every time we take a step. So this right here, I'm going to click that torso. We got it? Is it lower? It's not. Here, let's move this up a little bit. Here's a way to cheat. If you can't quite get it, get that plus. And then look for lower torso. Here it is. lower torso, and then you can click on it. You want to do this? I'll just do a little bump up and bump down, and then it should show a keyframe there. All right, and then we can loop it. Looped. Go to these three dots. Hit this, not the save yet. Let's set animation priority to action. All right, because we want it to overtake the regular walk, right, which is movement. And then let's go to save, and then let's do this again. Let's name it. Let's name it like Carry. Carry NPC. Maybe we save that again, and then publish it. Publish to Roblox. There it is. All right, I'm going to move this up so you can see this if it's cutting off. Hit the three dots, publish to Roblox. Nice. And then, of course, you can't quite see that button down there. Let's move this. Carry NPC, looking good. We're going to hit save. Here is our ID. We need to copy that. So hit these two boxes. ID copied. We're going to close this. I'm going to close this window. I'm going to go down to Starter Player. And I'm going to do Starter Character Scripts because if we die, we want the script to reload, right? So do Starter Character Scripts, hit the plus, add a local script. Maybe we call this like Carry Loc because it's local. And then hit the plus again, add an animation. If you don't see it because it's not under frequently used, ANI animation. Good. We call this Carry Anim. And now go to your animation ID and you are going to paste that number, hit enter, and it's going to prepend the Roblox asset ID stuff, and now you can use it. Now, in order to get this stuff to fire, we are going to need a remote event in replicated storage. So go to replicated storage right here, hit the plus, and then we're going to add a remote event. There we go. And let's call this Carry RE. Let's go back to our server, right? Go to the top. Got a lot of code there. And I think I'm going to make it, well, we don't have to put the get service at the very top. Let's do RS for replicated storage, game get service, replicated storage, and then we'll say local carry RE, replicated storage, wait for child. There it is, carry RE. This we're going to be able to use to fire to the clients. Scroll down. Where are we at? Here's our note, right? Might need a slight wait here. And then fire client to stop animation carry. All right, so we'll do a Control V. Fire client. Oh, no IntelliSense. Fire client. We're going to need the player. And we're also going to send a true or a false whether we want to turn it on or off. Now this is where we're actually dropping the client, the NPC. So we're going to say false. Let's copy this. Control C. You want to put that wait here just in case we need it. I know we're going to need a little bit of one. How about wait 0.1? Right, just enough time for things to replicate to the server. Let's go down here. Where is it? Oh, there we go. We don't need a wait here. I'm going to do a Control V to paste. And then this is going to be true. Now, when we come over to our Carry Loc, right? So our Carry Loc down here, we'll be able to get our replicated storage. We can get rid of this print statement. Whoops, I want to get rid of it. Say local RS for replicated storage, game get service, replicated storage, and then let's get our carry RE, replicated storage, wait for child, carry RE. Because we are in starter character scripts, let's get the character by doing local char equals script.parent. Now remember, if you're going to move this like to a UI, you'll have to use the local player and get the character that way. Or if you put it in starter player scripts. But it's good here like that. So we get the humanoid from the char. We'll say char, wait for child, humanoid. I got a little nervous with that IntelliSense there. It wasn't what I was expecting. I think we're all right though. All right, let's get the animator from the humanoid. So we'll say animator, hum, wait for child, animator, And then what else? Let's get the anim. This is the carry anim. You want to call it that? Carry anim. And then we'll say script, wait for child. It's right here, right? Wait for child, carry anim. Good, it gave us that one. The IntelliSense did. Let's get a track. Track equals animator load animation. And that's our carry anim. That one. Let's get the carry RE. We're going to look for on client event. We will connect that to this anonymous function. We don't need the player here. We only needed it on the server side, so we knew where to send it. We'll do, how about, was that a carry flag? You want to call it a carry flag, whether we're carrying or dropping. And then we'll say if carry flag, then track play, right? Else track stop. Think we're good. Let's play it. Hit the play button. There's our guy. Let's move on over. We're gonna have to fix that. It still says interact. It's all right. I got a plan for that. And it says toss him. And it was a lame toss. But notice the hands are pretty good. Right? The hands are pretty good. Let's toss him again. Maybe with the jump. Yeah, the jump worked. Oh, let's go to view output. See if we have any errors. We don't. What happens if we die? Oh, come back. Let's see if our animations are still working. Oh, he's so far away. All right, here we go. Pick up rig. Looking good. Toss him. That was a good toss. All right, let's go ahead and turn this off. Close our output window. And now what we want to do is move all of our carry stuff on the NPC into server storage and use the collection service to pass it around to any NPC that we want to be able to carry. First of all, let's tag all of our NPCs so that they're carryable, right? And I have an NPC right here. We'll add another one. Now, before the tag service, for years, if you right-clicked, you would get it. And for some reason, it is not working anymore. It probably broke about 5 to 10 of my videos. Makes me mad. But if you go to view, look for that little tag, it'll pop up. So at least we got that, right? Let's select our rig, because we're going to tag him as carryable. And then we're going to new tag. We're going to do tossable. That's funnier, right? Tossable. Right, we can carry him and toss him. Go ahead and check that. You want to add like a zombie too, because he's R15. Let's check to see if it works with zombies. I'm going to get rid of that tag editor for a second. Go over here, toolbox. Then we'll go to creator store, zombie. That's an R6. Pull that out. Yep, that's good. Go back to view. Hit our tag editor, and there's a couple of tags in the zombie already. That's all right. We have drooling zombie selected. Hit tossable. So now we have 2 tossable characters, one R6 and one R15. Let's go ahead and close this. I'm going to grab my prompt stuff. It is on the rig, right? It's on this guy right here. Let's go down here, grab the carry ATT and everything underneath it, right? We got the carry prompt and the carry server. Let's go to right click, copy, or actually let's do this, cut it. And then we're going to go down to server storage, paste into. Now let's go to server script service, right? Hit the plus, script, and you can put this in your game manager. I'll just make a game manager. We're going to need the collection service. So I'll say local CS for collection service, game get service, collection service. And we'll get our server storage, game get service, server storage. What else? How about our toss prompt, right? Or carry prompt. How do you want to call it? Carry prompt. That should work. It's just a variable. Just keep it consistent. Wait for child, and it's going to be in server storage, right? So wait for a child, carry ATT. Perfect. I stalled there for a second. And then let's make a table for all of the carryable NPCs. So we'll say something like carry. How about carryable? Is that right? I'll just say carry NPC. That should do it. Maybe with an S, so we know that it's plural, right? And then we'll get our collection service. We'll say get tagged, and we're going to look for anything tagged as tossable. Make sure you spell that the same as in the tag editor, all right? Or else it's not going to get anything, right? So we'll say for I and V in pairs. We can get the tossable NPC. What do we call it? I forgot already. Carryable NPCs. This one right here. Boom. And then how about, that should be perfect like that. We don't have to do get children. That's a table. And then we'll do a local, how about prompt ATT. We're going to get our carry prompt. This one right here. And we'll go ahead and do a clone. Right, so we got a clone of that. We don't want to use the original because we got to pass it around to all the different NPCs that we can carry. And then let's get the HRP because we're going to put that prompt on the humanoid root part. So we'll say V. How about wait for child? You want to do wait for child? Let's do wait for child. Humanoid root part and prompt ATT. Parent to the HRP. And then let's get the prompt ATT. We could do a wait for child here. I think we'll be all right though. Yeah, I think we'll be all right. Let's just do dot carry prompt action text. If you do run into a problem there right here though, try wait for child. But I think we're all right with this. And then we'll say pick up v name, and that's going to change that interact in the beginning before you pick them up for their first time. Now there are a few edge conditions we didn't really address, and there's kind of a big one that I want to fix. If we die while we're carrying a character, with this code we won't be able to pick up any other characters unless we leave the game and come back. Let's go ahead and change that. Let's go up to the top of our game manager script. I'll get the players service, say game get service players, and then down here, when a player is entering the game, we'll get our player service. We'll get the player added, connect, function, player, and we need to get the character added, right? So when they die and we come back, we're going to have to do something about that. We're going to get the player character added, connect, and then function char. All right, and then we'll get this player here and set attribute so that is carrying is false. All right, and that will make it so that if we die and we come back, even if we're carrying a character, we won't be when we come back, right? Let's go ahead and try this out. Hit play. Oh man, let's get that zombie. Sweet. We could toss him. And we can get our rig. Toss him at the zombie to save ourselves, and then we can run away. Run away. All right, it looks pretty good. Oh man, how'd this happen? All right, let's try and pick him up. I can't resist, right? Pick up rig. Nope. Oh, brah. All right, I will see you in the next video.